Sinking driveway, settling patio, collapsing stoop, uneven pool deck. It's a fact. Concrete problems don't get better with time, but they do get better when you call APS.
Well, this Sunday, September the 25th, I'm meteorologist Bill Murray, and we've got rain on the radar this morning. A cold front dropping south through western Tennessee will push through all of Alabama today and tonight and end up in the Gulf of Mexico and will be a big player in the future track and intensity of Hurricane Ian, eventually Ian, right now Tropical Storm Ian, in the northwestern Caribbean. The SPC does have the northeast corner of Alabama outlooked in a marginal risk of severe weather today. Just thunderstorms for the rest of us. Any threat there that could happen would be in the form of hail and damaging winds. Across the tropics, it's goodbye to Fiona, which struck Atlantic Canada Friday night and Saturday, causing lots of mayhem in those areas. Gaston downgraded to a depression yesterday, and now just a tropical storm still there west of the Azores. Hermine in the far eastern Atlantic is becoming post-tropical and not an issue. And Tropical Storm Ian is our concern there in the western Caribbean, south of Jamaica. The storm is still not very organized this morning, getting more organized, and it is over extremely warm water and very low shear. So intensification is expected to be rapid. The track of the hurricane is the primary issue. The good news is that if it does get up to the northern Gulf of Mexico, which the GFS has been strongly hinting, it will weaken rapidly before it gets to the coast. These are the various spaghetti models this morning, all tightly clustered there in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, moving into the Florida Big Bend area. The big outlier to the west, the red track, is the GFS, which shows it moving to somewhere near Destin on Friday, late Thursday, Friday, and then tailing off to the east into Georgia. So that is a possibility. The Hurricane Center track agrees much more closely, as you'll see in a moment, with those models that are clustered there in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. This is the Global Ensemble GFS, different tracks. It's run this model a bunch of different times and they come up with different outcomes. And you can see the spread on these ensemble members is pretty large. Still more of a track just to the east of Panama City, but anything from New Orleans to Tampa is still in play in those ensembles. And Weather Service offices all over the eastern half of the country put up special balloons yesterday. They had special Gulfstream flights around the hurricane. And this is what it came up with on that 0Z run last night. The European ensembles are really way all over the place again. They show a weaker storm. The operational European, as we'll see in a moment, still hanging on to a Tampa landfall. So still lots of uncertainty in this forecast. Now, the Western Caribbean, it is not uncertain that the hurricane will have lots of warm water to draw on. And even as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico, the loop current there, you see, this is oceanic heat content, which combines not only the sea surface temperatures, but its depth. And it's showing that there's lots of energy there in the Western Caribbean, Southeastern Gulf of Mexico. And the intensity models reflect this. You see, most of them are category 3 or 4. Not really anything much less than that. But we're going to deal with a major hurricane in any case. This multi-model diagnostic shows the hurricane models in the GFS. The GFS still the western outlier, but the other models are there in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. The Europeans still hanging on to a Tampa landfall. But I wanted to show you this because all those intensity models go up very rapidly, but they also come down almost as rapidly as the storm moves into the northern Gulf of Mexico. And the reason is because the deep layer shear will be off the charts. The hurricane will be running into 40 to 50 to 60 knots of shear, and while severe thunderstorms may like that, tropical systems do not. Sea surface temperatures will be tailing off, although they're going to be plenty fine for maintaining the strength of the hurricane at any point in the Gulf of Mexico. It's still fairly early, but look at this mid-level humidity. It begins to drop at the end too, and that's thanks to our cold front. This is the official National Hurricane Center forecast track, showing the center of the storm going over the western coast of Cuba late Monday night, early Tuesday into the southeastern Gulf of Mexico as a major hurricane. But here at the end, that intensity drops as it makes landfall late Thursday night, Friday, there in the Florida Big Bend area. The cone of uncertainty stretches all the way from Orange Beach to the Fort Myers area. The center could be anywhere in this cone at these points in time. So this forecast is bathed in uncertainty for sure, and something we're just going to have to wait to come together. In fact, here's the European depiction of the storm much earlier, Wednesday afternoon into Tampa as about a 100 mile per hour hurricane. That, of course, has big impact for the west coast of Florida and almost no impact for our friends on the Florida Panhandle beaches and Alabama beaches, and us here in Alabama, as a matter of fact. We just get some gusty winds. And there's that European depiction of that showing us almost no rainfall at all in Alabama. Upper pattern off the GFS shows the trough over the eastern United States. The system that will kick the hurricane to the northeast is just now coming around the base of this ridge. And so as it comes into closer focus, I think our forecast will come into closer focus. This is the GFS from 0Z last night at noon today, showing showers and thunderstorms across the northern half of Alabama. Most of the area will be mostly cloudy through the day today with some clearing late in the day. Temperatures in the low to middle 80s. Will be 50s north of I-20 tonight, 60s to the south. So it's going to feel quite nice in the morning for most areas. Tomorrow at noon, there is what will be Hurricane Ian in the northwestern Caribbean at that point. Alabama should be sunny and beautiful with lower humidities and high temperatures in the lower 80s. Maybe a few middle 80s thrown in there as we still continue to move toward a cool down Tuesday afternoon. System is well into the Gulf of Mexico. All the rain still well south of Alabama. It'll be another beautiful day. High temperatures upper 70s to upper 70s to lower 80s. And then Wednesday, the system in the central Gulf of Mexico, some 300 miles south of the northwest Florida coast, if the GFS is right. Remember, the European has it over here by Tampa. But if this hurricane is still moving to the north, it still will be strong. 130, 140 miles an hour. That's a major hurricane in any book. And then by Thursday, the GFS has it some 150 miles south of the coast and beginning to have its impacts felt in South Alabama, most of the Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, and of course here into southeastern sections of our state. We'll be watching that closely. It's going to be breezy, really starting Tuesday and Wednesday, and then if this happens, especially Thursday. Winds will be gusting to 25 miles an hour over north and central Alabama. Then by Friday, the GFS brings it up into South Alabama. Heavy rain for more of a baroclinic system by this point. I think it's making a rapid transition from tropical to extratropical here, could be up here. We're going to be watching that very closely. But if this forecast verifies, we'll have a quite rainy, stormy day on Friday with winds gusting at times to 30, 35 miles an hour, maybe as high as 45 or 50 miles an hour, depending on how strong the system stays. Now, all that moves out to the northeast on Saturday, clearing skies. Rain ends fairly early in the day, even though there'll be some rain in the morning hours. And then by Sunday, it should be another beautiful day. Temperatures back in the lower 80s, lots of sunshine, dry conditions. Voodoo territory shows the ridge trying to build back in that following week. Temperatures, and I didn't show temperatures here, but will be probably near 70 on Friday, lower to middle 70s on Saturday, and then warming back into the upper 70s and 80s for that following week. Overnight lows near 60 degrees. And that's about what we would expect, really, about this time of year here in Alabama. Of course, we'll be talking about Hurricane Ian tomorrow night on Weather Brains. We had a great conversation with Ryan Hall, y'all, a controversial figure in the weather industry. Got him on record with a lot of with a lot of questions, and I think you'll enjoy that show. And Chad Entremont will join us from the National Weather Service in Jackson, Mississippi tomorrow night, in addition to all the discussion about Ian. Well, that's your weather video. I'll have frequent updates on the blog throughout the day today. Scott will be with me tonight, and tomorrow we'll be tracking the hurricane all week until it finally decides where it wants to go. And as I always tell you when we're doing these videos, keep an eye to the sky because you're going to have something really fun to look at.
Sinking driveway? Call Alabama Professional Services. Settling patio? Call APS. Uneven pool deck? Call APS. Collapsing stoop? Call APS. Cracking sidewalk? That's right, call APS. It's a fact. Concrete problems don't get better with time, but they do get better when you call APS. Call Alabama Professional Services today